Intro to functions. Our objective is to graph ordered pairs in the coordinate plane, as well as graph functions from ordered pairs. Why learn this? You can use functions to determine how the cost of a caricature is affected by the number of people in the picture. Let's look at a coordinate plane. A coordinate plane has an origin, and that origin is thought of as the point 0, 0. Then you have an x-axis and a y-axis. Your x-axis is horizontal, your y-axis is vertical, and it divides a grid into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is in the upper right-hand corner. Your x values in quadrant 1 are going to be positive since they're to the right of 0. So we have positive x values, and it's above our 0, so we're going to have positive y values. Going to quadrant 2, counterclockwise here. Quadrant 2, your x values, since it's to the left of 0, are going to be negative. And your y values will be positive since we're still going above 0. We're going above our origin. Let's look at quadrant 3. Quadrant 3 is to the left of 0 and below 0. So our x values and our y values will both be negative. And to the right, we have quadrant 4. So we have a positive x value, but a negative y value because we're still below 0. Let's practice graphing points in the coordinate plane. So graph each point. M is at 3, 4. So it's at positive 3. So we're going to go over 1, 2, 3. And point 4. So we're going, the y value is 4. So we're going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to put our point at 3, 4. You always want to label your coordinate. That way you know which point it's referring to. Take a moment and pause the video and try B. Now that you've had a moment to try B, let's try it together. So we have negative 2, that's our x value. So we're going to go left 2, but we're not going to go up and down at all because it says 0. So n. Let's practice locating points. So name the quadrant in which each point lies. So we have to find point P, and point P is down here. And remember, we start in the upper right-hand corner with quadrant 1, and then we go counterclockwise. So quadrant 1, 2, P is in quadrant 3. Take a moment and pause the video and try the next 3. Now that you've had a chance to try these 3, let's try them together. Point Q is in the second quadrant. Point R, well, point R is neither in quadrant 1 or 4. So there's no quadrant, it's on the x-axis. For S, S is down here, and that would be in quadrant 4. You can also use equations to come up with coordinates. You have an input and an output. So when you input a value in for x, you're going to get an output. And what that means is that, say you put in the number 2. So that's your input. Okay? Well, if you input 2, then that means y is going to equal 10 times 2 plus 5. Well, 10 times 2 is 20, plus 5 is 25. So your output is 25. you can write this as a coordinate. So those XY pieces that we've been just playing with in graphing, well, you can graph a coordinate like this too. So you have your input and your output. So on your grid, you would graph it at 2, 25. So across the x-axis 2, and then go up 25. Let's look at an art application. A caricature artist charges his clients a $5 setup fee, plus $10 for every person in a picture. Write a rule for the artist's fee. Write ordered pairs for the artist's fee when there are 1, 2, 3, and 4 people in the picture. Alright, so for this, we're going to let Y represent the fee that the artist has, and X represent the number of people that are going to be thrown into that picture. So your equation would be 5 plus $10 for each extra person. So we have our X inputs, and our X inputs for in this case would be 1, because we want 1, 2, 3, and 4 people, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so now we need to follow this rule. So our rule has us inputting a 1 in for X, or substituting 1 in for X. So now we have 5 plus 10 times 1, and we have 5 times 10 times 1, which 5 plus 10 times 1, which is 15. We can write your answer as an ordered pair, or a coordinate. So for every 1, we've got 15. Alright, so now let's look at 2. We have 5 plus 10 times 2. So we have 25. So our ordered pair would be 2, 25. And then we have 5 plus 10 times 3, which is 35. So for 3 people, it's $35. And then we have 5 plus 10 times 4, which is 45. So for 4 people, it's $45. So you have an input. You can input your value into your equation, which you can think of as a rule, and then it gives you an output. It gives you an answer, which helps you make an ordered pair, your XY coordinate. Okay, so let's practice generating and graphing ordered pairs. So we're going to generate our ordered pairs for each function using the given values for X, and then we're going to go and graph the ordered pairs that we have. So we have Y equals 4X minus 3, and the X values we're going to use are -1, 0, 1, and 2. So these are our inputs. So we're inserting those into our equation, and we're going to get an output. We're going to get an answer in the end. So we're going to insert -1 into our equation. So we have 4 times -1 minus 3, which is -7. Alright, so now let's look at 0. So we're going to input 0, or substitute 0 in. And we have 4 times 0 minus 3 equals -3. So our ordered pair is 0, -3. Now we're going to substitute in 1. So we have 4 times 1 minus 3, which is 1. So our ordered pair is 1, 1. We have one more input. So we have 2. We're going to substitute 2 in for X. So we have 4 times 2 minus 3, which equals 5. So our ordered pair is 2, 5. Well, now that we have our ordered pairs, we can graph our ordered pairs. So we're going to graph -1, -7, 0, -3, 1, 1, and 2, 5. And when we do so, we get something that looks like this. So -1, -7, 0, -3, 1, 1, and 2, 5. The points form a straight line. And that concludes our lesson on Intro to Functions. If you have any questions, please see your teacher.